When you said it doesn't work, long distance relationship, how they don't work? I mean, we're in Dubai, and there are very many people who come here rather, and they have somebody back home. It could be a male or female, you know, you're coming for work. Same in America, same in Australia, same Trinidad, Tobago. You are from there, and you know, you are here in Dubai, or wherever you are, wherever you're from. Why do you think it works, or why do you think it doesn't work?
Basically, a long-distance relationship can only work if you have a plan in place.
Planning?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Very true.
I mean that you need to have a goal in mind, what is going to be the next step. So you need to plan the next step. If there is no plan in place, it's indefinitely, it is very difficult to work.
But what if it is just a fresh relationship, just happened? I mean, let's say you were back home and you came to know this person, and 2 months, 3 months later, somebody sent you a job offer. Now you are here. Maybe you didn't have time to plan that thing.
Yeah, that's something that I would like to actually discuss. Would be that if it's really new relationship, and sometimes people think they are in a relationship when it's actually there is no relationship. Because
that's very important.
And if you start talking to them, especially if it's just like online, and even if you call each other every day.
That's it, we're getting married.
If you don't know the person, it's not really a relationship.
Yeah, you haven't built anything, there's nothing in common yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
But how do you define a relationship then? If it is not over the internet, if it is not just, maybe it might be one person love, or one person plan.
Yes. In this case, it's actually still a fantasy, because if you don't know the person, and even if you talk every day, but if you don't know them and you don't see them on a daily basis, you don't build that foundation and the connection. This is not a relationship; it's a fantasy.
And this is exactly a different type of relationship. Yes. I mean, relationship is a very broad word as well, right?
Yes.
It's very broad,
Yeah,
so it's how we define. You know, so I mean, it could be a relationship, just maybe a very at most basic level.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Human to human contact relationship, you know, but it will go through different stages, and sometimes people are at different stage in the relationship, but the relationship itself is in a different stage. So I guess it's quite complex.
I totally agree, and I was going to say that, you know, it depends on when this relationship supposedly, and I totally agree with you there, started. Did you meet on holiday and then realize that you were worlds apart, and then thought, oh, we want to keep this going, or was it, you know, in the same country, and then, as you say, Abby, one takes the step away to go to work or something? Or have you met online and you've never actually ever been to each other's places? I mean, it is depending on the fantasy as opposed to the reality and what we are wanting. If you're in a long distance relationship in the sense that you are actually in something that you've been building towards, that you've been enjoying each other's company, that you want to continue in some way, but work has taken you away, or that you simply live in different places and you only get together occasionally, then I think there's a lot of there's a plan involved, absolutely. When is this going to eventually become something more permanent? And we live together, and what does that mean? Do you come to me, or do I come to you, or do we go somewhere completely independently from each other already?
Then planning plays a vital role here. Exactly what she said, but planning plays a vital role. This is an obvious relationship. If there is a commitment, if you guys married, then it's a commitment. It's a long distance relationship.
Yes, however, I think that when you're married, if you've been married and living together for quite a long time, and then one of the partners has to go and work somewhere, this changes the dynamic of the relationship and the marriage, and therefore it's very easy to take the whole thing for granted and to no longer put an effort in it purely because, well, they're off working and it's great for the family financially later and all these plans for the bigger future. But what about the day-to-day? So I think that there's a balance to be struck between structure and spontaneity. Structure being in, you know, when do we talk to each other? Morning and night? Because we're not together? Do we speak every day?
But it's very hard, especially with different time zones.
Yes,
extremely
which is
hard.
why the structure is important, to be able to say, okay, we've got 6 hours apart, or where my day is your night, or whatever. So when do we speak? And let's make this a regular thing, because otherwise it will fizzle out, that's for sure.
Well, why would we speak? Is it speaking enough? Would it be replacing the physical existence of the person.
Yeah, so I would come back more to like the emotional side of it, you know. So for me, if I think long distance relationships could work, but yeah, it could work
if there's that
could
emotional
work.
connection.
I think the
on a
harder
deep
part
level.
would be when the readjusting when they actually come back.
Yes, because it's all very easy at a distance to say
Yeah.
these wonderful things, but then you're not there to back them up. So you can say, but you're too far away, and if only I could cuddle you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here now. Bring it on. You know, where are all the cuddles?
Yeah, but I think it comes back to that emotional connection, you know. So for me, I would look at like two qualities if the relationship has it, you know. So if there is that love, and then the loyalty. So notice I didn't say trust, right?
And
I
honesty.
said loyalty. Well,
Honesty and
That's a valid
loyalty.
point.
yeah, well, I would more go with loyalty, like, because loyalty has a different connotation, right? It means that both of you are loyal, committed
Basically
to the
commitment.
relationship, exactly, right?
Yeah, there's a commitment.
yeah,
Right.
commitment, but at a different level. You know what I mean?
But there are so many people who happen to be committed to each other, and they work elsewhere, a world apart, as you said, and then you don't know what's the other person. Who is this person with? You don't know who is this person surrounded by.
Well, that's where the honesty comes in for
And
me, because it's
trust.
about honesty to myself. Do I really want to be in this relationship with this person at a distance, or am I actually enjoying my life away from them? And if it's not an honest yes for the relationship, then it's a very big no to that other person, and it can be very painful. So I have to be, I'm pushing on the honesty thing.
I had a different angle, or you had a different angle as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, you have to have a plan in place. You need to know where it's going, where is it heading, and also need to have plans to actually to be together at one point.
What kind of a plan? When you say plan, is it like sit together, here you go, over the internet, or physically together before leaving or after leaving? Hey, listen, we are going to be a world apart. What's your plan? What's my plan?
Yes,
Is
what
it
are
like
the
that?
expectations?
Because when you say plan, to me is how long am I going to be in the other place? One of the how long? Is it 1 year? Is it 6 months? Is it a short journey visit? Or no, you know what, I'm going to be there probably for 5 years. Can I take it? Can I wait for you for 5 years? When you say planning.
Yes,
But I didn't know
those are the
planning,
things that
yeah.
you need to consider and need to decide together.
But plans could change. That's the other thing, you know. So
It's
like
dynamic.
exactly, plans. So that for me, I don't want to be in a fixed. Okay, you're going to do this for this time. Maybe it might help you temporarily, like maybe to get through that initial transition of living apart. But then you have to somehow come to the realization things change, you know, and things can happen. And that's why for me, the loyalty is what matters, because it doesn't matter what happens in the plan or how honest you are with yourself. Is are you loyal to this relationship, and are you a loyal person to
and
me?
can you
know
see
what
the
I mean?
future together as well?
Exactly.
Because when we get into a relationship, usually it is for the goal of going somewhere together. For
Hopefully,
the future.
hopefully.
But
Well,
that's
yes,
what
it
we
But
is.
that could change
That's what
It
too,
is, but it's
right?
such a multitude of needs that are
Yeah,
being met,
exactly.
right? And a lot of it is the physical. And so if the physical is not being filled, then the
Yes.
physical will become something else.
Of course.
So that's the tricky thing. And also, I think that the planning is, you're right, absolutely, the planning is something that can be changed and will change. However, if you start off from scratch thinking, for a start, if you're, since we're mainly women, if your husband was sent somewhere that women can't go to, or is not, it's not a package that enables the wife to go to, and yet the family plan is to earn this sort of money for however many years, what does that mean really over that length of time, especially if you have children that are growing without their father
But
in the
that's
house?
where this spontaneity, as you mentioned, comes in, right?
Yeah.
Is that, you know, the husband may have the
He has to just come home
and say, you know what, I'm going to surprise you all with a visit, you know, something like that, just to show that there is an element of surprise, I guess, as well, which will add to the excitement, because whenever there's that level of excitement, it adds to the bond, you know.
Now you're talking about long distance. How long is long? Is it like 6 hours?
I think it's a flight.
Is it,
I think it's a flight.
Is it
If you
14
can't
hours?
drive in the day, it's long distance. But then that said, you might be 2 hours away or an hour and a half away by car and just can't get there every day because it's too much work or something.
But there's a
there is-
huge difference between reaching within 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours
Exactly.
by car or by train. Like if you're in London and your original house in Yorkshire, what's that, 3 hours, 2 hours and a half by train? You can go there. not every day, maybe every weekend, would I call it a long distance
Well, that's like
relationship?
accessibility.
Right?
Like if you think somebody from
It is
Trinidad.
actually.
But if you come from Trinidad and Tobago,
Yeah, exactly. You have to take 2 flights to get out
there
to
you go.
Dubai.
How long do you need?
Yeah,
24 hours?
Exactly.
I think that's
right.
difficult from the word go.
That's ultra
Yeah,
long distance.
Exactly.
Yeah. But also, I think that I personally would rather feel close to someone even if they're away than distant from them when they're close.
Yes.
So I really think it's about the commitment, the loyalty, the love. I have many clients who have partners go off and have to work somewhere, or they choose to go home, or they've met here and one's gone home because they've only met on holiday, and they're genuinely connected. They really want to be together. They are working towards finally closing that gap and building that relationship. That's clear. But when there's hesitation and a lot of time spans, maybe it's not really what we think.
But then that happens in any relationship, right? In the beginning part of it anyway, is that nobody knows how is this going to work and would it work, even if you're living in the same place, right? You can't figure out, you can't plan the future. Maybe one is thinking, oh yes, this will work, and the one isn't. You know what I mean? So 2 people on the same page, I think, is just generally what's important for any relationship, right?
Then planning play vital roles again. You know, if you sit down together, as you said, you know, you meet somewhere and then you're planning to make a huge commitment with loyalty and passion about each other, then if you sit down together and say, listen, where is this going?
Yeah.
You know, we are together, we love each other, obviously we are loyal to each other, and plans could change, because plans, it's theory.
Right.
It's a theory. Would it work on the practical world? I don't know. Maybe today I'm working in Dubai, and tomorrow I find another job, I don't know, in Singapore. Still a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
Would it work?
But I think that the plans fall apart if the day-to-day doesn't work.
Exactly.
If you're not actually even in touch, if you're not making that effort to pick up that phone or do the Zoom or whatever on a regular basis to keep that connection going. And also, I think in this instance, I actually believe that oversharing is a good thing, because you're not there to touch and feel and explain and move around each other. So it's great to
You're
be able to
virtually
say,
there.
it's great to be able to say, I went to work and this happened and I had a chat with her, and really over explain a little bit so that they live the experience, you know,
With the other
Virtually.
person.
virtually,
Yes.
and to share that, and to be able to get to the nitty-gritty is also find out if there's anything that's bothering them, find out if they've been a bit, you know, how did you feel about that? Did that upset you? And then there's another conversation, you know. But if that's not being done, you can throw the plan away.
I'm with her on that, actually, because I experienced one of my friends, and this is exactly what happened to her. Her husband had to leave and go elsewhere, which is, I think, was 5-6 hours by flight. Of course he can't come every day, of course he can't come every weekend, because even on the weekend they prepare plans for the week. And then this is exactly what she said. She said, you know what, we made a deal, regardless what happens, every day by 2100, which is 9 o'clock in the night, we would chat. Even for 15 minutes, even if it is a ridiculous conversation, and the more ridiculous it is, the better it was. Is it true? Right?
Well, it depends on the person, but I think that even a very tired, I love you, honey, I can't talk for long, I've had a huge day, but I just wanted to let you know that I love you and I'm thinking of you and I miss you and I'll talk to you tomorrow, speaks volumes.
But that's the beauty of what we have available to us now. I mean, we have so many different tools. You know, you have WhatsApp, you have whatever. You can actually send voice notes to each other. You can still feel, you know,
connected.
involved. Yeah. So like even, I mean, this is with one of my best friends back in the UK, my best friends back in Trinidad. We are always chatting, so it's as though I'm actually speaking to her. And sometimes I go off talking and then I realize I'm speaking to myself, and then I'm like, oh, you helped me a lot. Because you know what I mean, you have so many different tools now that you don't actually have to dedicate. I know for me, if you give me a time, it's not going to happen. I'm like, that's not how I am in that relationship, because I know my day-to-day and I can get along really well. I did long distance with my husband, and when I took the kids back home, you know, and we did it for a while. And I can't say I was not happy. I was fine, and he was in the best shape of his life.
He's gonna watch this episode.
He will watch, and he was in the best shape of his life. Like, and he had the time to spend on himself. You know, he took care of himself. He started back swimming, and you know, he did everything for himself as well. So I think apart, we were both healthy, and still in a
What
relationship.
a great husband!
Yeah.
Yes, because I think that you know, sending a text and then not hearing for a day or two.
Yeah, no, you can't do that.
It's a killer.
Or you're waiting
and
all
in
the
the
time,
early
right?
relationships, those that are not those that we're talking about with the family and the marriage and everything, those the early stages, that's no different to being in the same town and being ghosted, you know. I mean, it's if there's a distance and there's no sign, then I think that...
So the distance is not enough excuse to tell and decide whether this relationship is going to work or not. I mean, you are the relationship expert here. Would that work?
Yes, I mean, I'm just what do you call it? Repeating what you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. You're saying constant touching with each other by using technology is healthy.
Regular, very
regular,
right?
Right? And staying apart, not communicating, even if the other person is busy for one reason or another, is not healthy. And as she said, you could be in the same town, but you're not talking to each other. So physically you are here, but mentally or spiritually you are far, far apart. That will kill the relationship.
But also I recommend to discuss this, because people have different needs for closeness. They have different needs for freedom and different needs for communication. So that's where you need to discuss this. If for someone it's important to talk on a daily basis, like all the time, and for other person they actually need some time for themselves. So
would it make a difference if it is a young relationship?
To know that.
Yes.
Would it make a difference if it is a young relationship? I mean, young, not in the time, young between young people.
Yes.
I'm talking about what, teens, early 20s?
Yes.
Is it the same as, you know, people who happen to be in their 40s, 50s?
I think it comes back to expectations as well, right? And
that's a dangerous word.
Yeah.
That's a very dangerous word. You know, when you say expectations,
but you need
I'm
to know.
assuming.
What
does she want?
Not what the other person wants. You have to know what you expect, right? You have to know what you want, and you have to be able to communicate that with the other person.
Communication is
everything.
So, and you have to get the expectations even in any relationship. So even my relationship with my clients, it comes back to, what did you expect from coming to speak with me? That's something that we cover, because if I have not addressed what you expect, then we have not had a healthy, we're not having a healthy communication. You understand? So expectations is important, but it's not about what the other person expects. It's understanding what you expect and then learning how to communicate that with the other person.
So it's mutual expectations all the time.
Yeah, because we would all
leads
want
to communication.
something.
And expressing your needs.
Expressing your needs.
And
expressing your needs, and then knowing some of that is investigation. Like and we're talking today about long distance. So so tell me what your day is like. When is the best time to call you? When is your busiest time? When do you have meetings? When are you finishing work? When do you get back to your room or your hotel or your house? You know, when is all this happening, so that I don't bother you during those times, and that you don't call me when I'm busy, but we know that at this time of day it's clear. So that's the first thing, so that we're not, you know, invading each other's space, as you wouldn't want in the same town type of thing. And then to discuss, well, this is for me important. I need these things to feel fulfilled. I'm feeling a little bit anxious about this. Can we talk about that? And discuss what we don't want and what we do want, and then meet at that point.
But sometimes, you know, talking over, sometimes just talking online or through Zoom or one of those platforms, I don't think it's enough. I don't think you will fulfill their internal desire of being important to the other person. You want somebody to be there sometimes physically, as you said, hugging them or you know, touching or holding hands, because it doesn't, you can have what's hologram, the hologram technology, you can see the person there, but he's not there, it's not reality. Would that work? I doubt it, to be honest. Would it work?
Well, the physical connection is important in any relationship as well, right? To even be in that same physical space.
Once a month? Once every week?
No, that's the thing. So I think it depends. It comes back to the plan. Like if you have a mental thing that, okay, this is for 6 months, so it's okay if I don't see you for 6 months, I'll survive. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But how long will that go on for?
That's the next question, actually. You just answered my next question.
Exactly.
How long do you think, if you cross that line, which is time, you think it's not going to be healthy? 6 months? 7 months? 1 year?
It's so individual.
It's very, and it depends on which stage of your life you're in. You know?
Yes. What age?
Yeah, I mean, for me, because I have kids, you know, and I'm busy. I'm working. I have my kids. If you need to have a long distance, I think that'll be okay for me. You know what I mean? I can manage. I keep things under control.
Yeah. If you're very young and you've only just hit the ground running in this
Exactly.
you know, almost relationship kind of status, then you haven't even, as we said, you haven't even built anything to hold on to.
Exactly.
So it's easy to say this isn't going to work, and maybe it won't work. And what are you actually holding on to if it does go on? You know, just that presence, that state of mind of he's there, she's there. But then if you've actually gone into a young family and then someone has to go away and work, there's a hit that's taken for the children, or maybe there's a pregnancy, maybe he's not going to make it home for the birth. You know, there could be a multitude of things that put pressure on the family, all in the name of making the money, getting the work, you know. And then as a later part of life, it's the time to enjoy each other. The children may have grown, or maybe there's two divorcees that meet after having had a family situation who want to be together, and they're not. They can't be. So what does that mean? So it depends on the stage of life you're in, the type of relationship you actually even want.
Exactly. Because some people, again, they need that physical connection more than others.
And the attention.
And the attention, exactly. Some people need it more and some people need it less. So it really depends on who you're paired with as well. Because you see sometimes some, you know, women who are very needy, they need the physical connection, and men who they don't, you know,
or
they don't.
vice versa.
Thank you very much.
Exactly. Or vice versa.
A lot of men who need that.
I mean, it works both ways, right? So it depends on who you're matched with as well, and what are you able to fulfill the, you know, the needs of the other person as well, you know. Of course, compromise comes into play, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to, you know, really connect. And again, for me, it comes back again to the love and the loyalty.
Yes.
If the love and the loyalty is there, you're able to give more. And if it's love and loyalty that's reciprocated, you're in it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just if it's not reciprocated, then you're into big hot water. You know what I
I
mean?
would like to mention something actually, which I find is very important, is to also to understand what your own needs are. Because how often we don't know. So you need to explore, what do you need? What do I need from this relationship? What do I need from my partner? So if
Well,
you know
we certainly
that,
find out when the relationship burns and dies, because we realise that our needs weren't met. And so then we think, I have a whole new list, you know,
And then,
I'm going shopping.
So first to identify your needs, and then to communicate the needs, and then you can see if they meet them or not.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And why not
And
put
vice
it,
versa.
why not put it out there and say, well, you know, if this is going to be a long distance relationship, I'm going to need this, this, and this for this to work for me. And how does that work for you? And that's where I believe the
I could
honesty
just
kicks
get that
in.
list and decide I'm going to run. I'm like, that list
And maybe
is
the
too much
honesty
for me.
for me, the honesty thing kicks in there, because it could be met with a, oh yes, me too, and he's thinking,
no.
But the
But
thing
then
is,
you know, and then you don't waste your time.
Exactly.
well, that's the point. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's said to keep the peace, keep the thing going, but it's not really.
But
That's why
don't
we
you
always need to look at the actions.
Yes,
Right,
actions.
exactly.
louder
Actions
than
speak louder
actions,
than
yes.
words.
But don't you think by giving the other person a lot of time elsewhere, by doing so, you're giving the other person the freedom and the time to be with someone else?
Well, I have freedom too.
That's good for you, Abby.
That's very dangerous.
We're all free.
We're all free, you know. It depends on how you keep the box, right?
But the thing, I mean, in the real world, we have heard, of course, and we've been in such a situation, or we witnessed someone who happened to be far from their commitment, and this was or is a chance for them to be with someone else, and you will be replaced naively.
But that can happen anywhere, even in a relationship.
same time.
At
It
the
can
same
happen in your
time.
own, in the office down the road.
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying. It comes back to loyalty. Some people have loyalty in their blood, and some people don't.
That's right.
So
that's right.
that's just
some people value that. You know, one-on-one, monogamous, exclusive type of relationship.
And some people
and
just
they will
don't
work
have
on it.
that.
And some people don't even know what the hell you're talking about. You know.
I like what you said about commitment. I like what you said about planning. I like what you said about continuous, not just chatting, open communication, mutual open communication all the time helps and plays a huge part in conquering this relationship to go further and cruise further in life. And I like what you said about, you know what, if the love and trust is there, and I might really add more loyalty.
It's loyalty,
which
is my
you
word.
said,
Yes.
you're loyal, yes. If it is there, then it is going to help the two partners to cruise in life further and further. Exactly. And I think if you are in early relationship, early in age means in your what do you call it, teens time, early 20s, you have different needs and wants.
Exactly.
If you go further in life, after having maybe children or something, then you need something else. You want something else.
Every stage will be different, whether kids or not.
Absolutely.
That's the golden word or
Yeah.
sentence. Actually, every stage is different. Every stage is different. But the final question here, I want to ask everyone, and give me your honest opinion. I'll start with you, Tricia. Do you think genuinely? I know you might say it depends, but please don't give that answer.
It depends.
Here you go. We got it. Honestly, do you think long-distance relationship, I'm talking about 5 years' time, if the person got a work contract somewhere else, which is 2, 3, 4, 5 hours flight time, flight, not car, not within the same country, do you think really it might work?
Abby, it depends.
Again,
I'm sorry to disappoint
No,
you, but there's no chance of having a yes or no answer to that.
I could say yes. I'd say yes.
Yeah.
I think it can work if the right factors are in play and both people are still love each other and they have that loyalty towards each other. I think it could work.
I think over a long term and long distance, it changes the dynamic. It changes the
The
feelings.
dynamics will change.
And so you're not the same people after such
Exactly.
separation when you come back
That's
together.
why I said in the beginning.
So-
you're not
Yeah.
voice alone here, because I witnessed a story which is
Yeah.
very similar. She said, my feeling changed toward my husband after 5 years of not seeing him on daily basis. And I said, why is that, do you think? She said, because honestly, someone else provided beautiful feelings to me, and I felt I'm going to the other person. And I did ask, what was the husband respond? And she said, to be honest, Abby, probably the same. He said, I'm not feeling the same towards you. Although they started a love story since university. Can you imagine?
Yes, but when you're in close contact, you can feed that, and you mirror each other. You project and you mirror, and it can project healthy things as well. So you do tend to grow together.
For me, it really comes back to that loyalty, because a lot of families here do it, right? A lot of people come here and leave their families behind for years, right? And they still maintain that relationship. What type of relationship that happens after, it's a different story,
Yes, yes.
right? But can it survive? I would say yes. You know what I mean?
Yes, if that's the case, without
Yeah.
without having a look into the emotional needs and the spiritual needs that are maybe not being met, of course I can
Right.
stay married on paper for
Exactly.
however long.
On paper.
But
On paper,
yes.
yes.
but it
It's not
depends on what
healthy.
you need. It depends on what you need from a relationship.
But it comes to what happens after, and that readjustment period, right? Because you have to get to know the person all over again. But that happens again in everyday relationships, because we change in our relationships, and sometimes you don't recognize the other person until later on, and then you realize there's a change.
What might... Go on, please.
I would like to bring in this concept of couple bubble. Have you heard about that?
What's that?
A couple bubble.
No,
So
I don't.
basically, you and your partner create this safe space for you, which is the relationship, and you can call it as a couple bubble. So actually, your number one person that you turn to would be your partner.
Right.
So when you are in this long distance relationship and your not number one person is not your partner, so it happens to be someone else, then
You know something.
yes.
Yeah.
So you have actually kind of
Yeah.
burst the couple bubble. You don't have that
Right.
safe space of us.
But that's a good
And that's
point
when
of
what
reference.
happened to your friend.
Yes, that's a good point of reference. So at least if you know that mentally, that this is our couple bubble, and the moment
Yes.
you shift out of your couple bubble,
It's burst.
then you know,
It's burst for life.
And you need to protect it.
How many
It
bubbles are there? Oh, how many times?
It's
can you
need to
blow it back up again?
It is possible, yes.
It is.
But you need to protect it.
You need to
So
protect
that's
it.
what happened to your friends when they
Absolutely.
And
started
that takes
to turn.
commitment.
Yes, commitment
Loyalty.
number one. Yes, and then
In loyalty.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. So we would like to hear from you. What do you think? Long distance relationships, do they work really? If you think they work, why would they work, and for how long? If you think there's no way it's going to work, and tell us why. What's your opinion? We would love to hear from you. Meanwhile, thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye bye.